Hi everyone, so I am interviewing Kerry today. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, letting me interview you. So I've got quite a few questions for her, and so let's dive right in. So tell me a bit about your horses, what your goals are with them this year, and how you're working towards those goals.
So my two horses are Zias the Champ and Locarno Elvis, and Champ jumps in the 135, Elvis jumps in the 110. My goals with them this year, I'd like to get Champ consistently in the 140s, and how I'm working on that is just making sure like I jump consistent rounds and trying to fix everything and ensure that I do my best so Champ can do his best, but I think we there now. Elvis, I'd like him to jump maybe a 130 at the end of the year, and what I'm doing there is literally just putting in as much work as possible, that work-wise.
Okay, and you've been in the 140s before with Champ. Tell me about, going up to the 140s and, how you went from the 135 to 140s, the kind of different work you had to put in, just moving up the levels in general, especially with Elvis now. He's a new horse, and moving from one level to the next. What kind of different work do you do?
So, it's a bit of a tough question. I don't change too much, to be honest.
Okay.
The only thing I really change is more towards derby time, and that's all fitness based.
Okay.
So, yeah, my horses have started going into the aqua treadmill. They go see the biter floor. Like, there's a lot there that they do that I think helps them progress quicker.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's all jockey side really that the change has to happen, and that's just seeing better distances and riding more consistently.
Okay, and that's just like practice, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so just practice and training, jumping bigger at home and those kinds of things.
Yeah, I do work on the flat like to improve my canter because I always start nice and slow.
Okay.
So at home I'm working on doing more canter work than trot work and forward canter and getting into like that show jumping canter.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's awesome. So what are the things outside of your riding life that really contribute to your success in riding? You've done really well with Champ in the 130s and the 135s, and I'm sure you'll find lots of success in the 140s. So
Thank you.
what kind of things outside of your life helps?
I don't actually do that much, to be honest. I'm not a very stressed person. I think that's what helps a lot.
Yeah, that's very helpful.
Yeah, and I'm very capable of like organizing, prioritizing, and planning everything. So I think what helps the most is that I can dedicate enough time to each area in my life that I need to.
Okay.
But other than that, I don't really do very much.
Do you set up a schedule each week? Like when you say you dedicate enough time?
Yeah, so I have my university schedule. That's my baseline of where I need to fit stuff around. And so my horses fit in there, and then everything else is pretty fine. Like it all works quite nicely actually.
Okay.
But yeah.
And is your degree very busy? Does that kind of contribute?
It's definitely picked up quite a bit, but it's actually quite nice because all my lectures give me enough time to ride in the mornings.
Okay, well, that's very helpful. And you also, Kerry told me she gets up very early to ride, so is that quite difficult? Do you find, how do you get up and convince yourself in the morning?
It's something I've gotten used to. Like now I get really tired when it hits 9 o'clock, and then when I wake up, I'm awake. I think I'm naturally more of a morning person than most people. Okay. So when the alarm goes, I'm up.
Okay, so did you choose to ride in the morning, or could you?
No, I'd have to ride at lunchtime sometimes, and that's not really nice. And a Monday is completely full, so I've structured in between Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, and then the weekend.
Okay, you sound very organized.
Yeah,
I think you need to teach me some tips.
Only difficult time is in the morning, early when I wake up and it's dark. Yeah. And that's difficult to get up.
Especially in winter,
it's cold, it's dark, your whole body is just it's not time to get up yet.
Yeah.
You're but it is.
Yeah, true. But I suppose I'm sure for you find like this is the time you have to ride, so it kind of forces you to like, okay,
Yeah,
you know what, I have to get up
definitely.
now,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Okay, so do you ever, now going on to the more like kind of mental side of riding, because I think it's such a huge part of riding, do you ever compare yourself to others in real life and online? You've got a huge social media platform. And if so, is there something that you do that helps with this?
Yeah, so I definitely compare myself to other people, and I actually compare myself a lot to you, because like we started, what people don't know is we started at the same place, basically. We started both on ponies, and we both moved to Ray and then started jumping bigger. Like I feel like we started at the same point, but we're in very different places.
Yeah.
Like you are so game all the time, like you work so hard at this because this is your life, like this is what you want to do.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, this is my sport, it's not going to be my career, so I don't have that like attack mindset like you do.
Yeah.
But
it's interesting that you say that though. Like I always think that what you like kind of see like on the outside is like crazy to what's actually happening in like people's like heads and what's going on like, you know, internally. Like sometimes I'm like, maybe I need to do like so much more, you know. You have that sometimes feeling of like feeling a little bit like you're not doing enough. I don't know if you ever feel that, but it's like, well, what else can I do, you know, and where's the time to do that?
Yeah, like my horses, their schedule is actually pretty chilled compared to other people, but it works for them. So sometimes I feel like, oh, but I should do more, I should work them longer, work them harder, but it's not really necessary, and I think that comes with comparison. But it's like taken me quite a long time to realize that like I'm riding for myself at the end of the day. Like no one actually cares if I do really well, if I fall, if I knock a pole. Like that's all my success, and no one else determines that except for me. So when it comes to comparing myself, I just think about how I've progressed rather than how well I've done, you know. So I take every competition as a new thing rather than thinking, oh, but I did well at the last one, why didn't I do well at this one, you know. I also don't compare myself all the time to myself.
What do you mean by that?
So if I did really well at one show and then I get to the next show and like everything's just fallen off, I'm not gonna be upset because I did so badly when it's just comparison. Like if I had a good round but I knocked a pole, that's not bad. So just because it didn't get a rosette doesn't mean it wasn't bad.
Yeah, sometimes I do that as well. Like I'll go to a show, like say I go to a Renet like World Cup qualifier, I'm like, okay, at the last Renet World Cup qualifier, this is what I did and it worked out so well. And then I did the same thing and like it doesn't work out the same way
anymore.
Yeah, exactly. You're constantly progressing and changing, and so are your horses. So yeah, I like that way of looking at it. And I think because sometimes it's hard to, I mean, you see where other riders are, and then you also, it's like comparing yourself to others, but then you also compare yourself to yourself, and it's just as a whole, you know, thing in your head. But,
and success is so different in the higher grades and in the lower grades. Like in the lower grades, I feel like it's a lot easier for a horse to make a plan and get over. So yeah, I'd say if I knocked a pole in the 110s, I'd be like, you know, rough. But if I knock a pole in the 135, but it was a good round, I'd be happy because it's harder to get it clear when the jumps are that much bigger.
Yeah, true. And it's also like sometimes you have a pole, but you had like the best round.
Such a good round, exactly.
So and someone else might go clear, and you know they're not as happy as you are. You know, so that also works into like comparing yourself, because you might think, oh, that person just won, but like in their head they're like, I rode like shit, or you know, kind of thing. So you know that definitely plays a part. And online. And online.
Online?
Yeah, like how do you, you know, especially with things like, you know, like if we're talking about comparing yourself to yourself, like what happens if you got really, you know, one post went like viral and then the next post gets like 5 views or something, or and then you see other people's content and it's doing so well, and you're, you know, kind of those kind of things. How do you struggle with that?
Yeah, I'm not so much social media driven that way. I do like posts to do well. It makes me feel cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really stress too much about that.
Okay.
Yeah, my social media platform is really just me documenting me throughout the years.
Yeah, no, I love that.
Yeah.
That's just, it's not something for other people, it's for like you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really cool if people enjoy what I put out and if they watch it, but at the end of the day, I'm having fun putting it out. I'm not doing it for people.
And at the end of the day, like, you being like just yourself and posting, you know, things that are going on in your life, the good and the bad, is like, you know, even though you're just sharing part of your life, it actually does impact people, you know. You don't even have to like try, just it
the most
inspires
difficult
people.
thing on social media is that everyone's just putting their best.
Yeah.
And no one really shows like, oh, but I didn't do well here, oh, but I really messed up. And so I don't even realize, not on horse Instagram, but like personal Instagram, how much people edit their photos because it looks so realistic.
Yeah.
And so you literally have to remember that everything on social media is not very true. Like there's always a pinch of something. It's people putting their best up all the time.
Yeah, that's
so you
true.
might think, oh, this chick rides amazing all the time. She never gets any problems, never does badly at all. But everyone has bad days, they just don't show it.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, and something I think a lot of riders struggle with is nerves and pressure. How do you deal with those two things?
Yeah, so I would say I've got a good match temperament, and so do my horses, which helps a lot. I don't really feel pressure per se. Like, I understand you have a sponsor, you have sponsors, not even just one. So for you, it is pressure to do well every time. I'm a brand ambassador for La Rose, and like Kay just supports me through whatever I do. She's so wonderful. So I never feel pressured by anyone to do well.
Yeah.
But yeah, nerves really, I don't get nerves too much anymore. But sometimes, like before the first day of a show, I'll get all and then I get there and thinking, oh, the jumps are gonna be massive, but then it's fine. Yeah, so I don't deal with nerves much anymore.
Okay.
But yeah.
Did you used to? Like when
I used to get so nervous.
Yeah.
I used to have to take tranquilizers literally
That's
to
bad,
calm
eh?
down, yeah. And I don't think they worked all the time. But yeah.
You were just like immune to the tranquilizer.
Literally. Yeah, I was just over stressing so much. But yeah, I guess I changed. I trust my horse the most. I really feel like my horse is always going to make a plan for me no matter what. So the biggest thing is trusting myself, confidence in myself.
Okay, and have you ever had a horse that you like sometimes doubted or hasn't always like helped you out?
Yeah, for sure. I've had a couple along the way that would take a chance if they could. And so my two horses now, I know for sure that they're always going to jump and try their best,
No,
which
that does a lot
helps.
of confidence.
Yeah, it does a lot of confidence.
It really does. And okay, so what is something that you're struggling with at the moment?
Clear rounds on champ.
Rounds.
Yeah, I feel like there's something underlying that I haven't like pinpointed just yet. And if there's not something there, then I don't know, I must ride better, I think. Yeah, but I feel like
you already ride amazingly.
Oh,
so
thank you.
yeah.
Some days.
But that's with everyone though.
Yeah.
And also, if you always had you just rode perfectly every day, life would just be so boring.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I literally last week I rode so badly on Elvis. It was actually really funny. He kept jumping big, so I kept landing and like grabbing so I could balance myself, and then he'd also balance, and then I literally take off like 2 strides away from where I should, and he got upset with me. He told me off. He like backed me. He was like, "Stop it!" And Ray's like, "He's telling you." I was like, "Oh, okay."
it's funny how they do that.
Yeah, it's like younger horses make you feel like you can't ride sometimes.
But I also feel like sometimes you're like, "Yo, that was so bad," and then you watch the video and you're like, "Oh, it doesn't
look
actually
as
bad."
bad.
Yeah. It always
Yeah.
feels worse than it looks, which is
For sure.
nice at least. You know, you don't look like a total chop. You feel like a total chop, but at least you don't always look look like one.
Yeah, geez. Sometimes I feel like Elvis jumps like the moon and I'm like, oh my gosh, did everyone see that? And then I look at the video and like, yeah, he's jumping high, but it's not as high as I thought he was going.
Yeah.
It just feels like it.
Yeah. If anything, maybe we need to add like mirrors into jumping arenas. You know how they have it like
And then I'll look and be like, wow!
Yeah. But clear around. So is there like something specific that or do you have any ideas of, you know, why you're not
I think
getting?
it has to do with his saddle. I think he's put on quite a lot of muscle in the past year or so. And I did get his saddle checked, but I don't think it was 100%. And yeah, so I want to check that he is able to use himself as much as he can. And he's going to see the Cairo on Friday anyway.
Okay.
So hopefully we'll see. But I do think that has a factor. And I think he needs to eat a little bit more, be a little bit more jazzy.
Okay. So
But not
you
too
kind of
much, yeah.
changing things externally.
Yeah, so his work has upped a lot. And I feel like his work is now matching his energy levels well.
Okay.
But sometimes, yeah, when he gets to a show, he's either really awake on the first day or he's calm enough.
So how do you, you know, when Champ can like be a very different horse, you know, when you take him to a show, sometimes he can be like really calm, but sometimes like, you know, completely crazy. How do you like deal with that?
Yeah, so I take it by the day and as it comes. When he's really upset and whatever, I try and warm up as much as I can, like do as many jumps as I can without disturbing everyone else. And then I'll go into a different arena and walk until I have to go in. And that like settles him a bit. But it is quite tough going from like such a crazy horse in the warm-up when he's sometimes just running or being silly and then having a calm horse in the actual arena. It's just an adjustment that I don't know, I cope with it and do that. And then when he's calm, sometimes he gets too calm. And then I have to like put on spurs, or if I just hold the crop, then he is awake again. So yeah, it just depends how he is, but I try to keep him as calm as possible for as long as possible.
Okay, so you kind of just have gotten used to him, being like, essentially like his behavior is a bit bipolar.
Yeah, like he's a horse that hots up, but he doesn't calm down quickly. So the moment he's flipped his lid, like that's that. You just have to deal with how it is at that time and just get through the warm up.
Do you ever feel like, you know, scared? Like if he, you know, I know he can do some gymnastics.
Yeah. And he's got good aim too.
That's worrying. We're gonna stay far away from him.
Sorry, what was the question?
Do you ever feel like scared?
Oh yes. No, not so much. Like now that he's been more calm, if he does have a crazy day, I get a little bit more nervous than I usually would. But I just got so used to it at one point that you just get in there and be crazy all the time that I'm desensitized.
It becomes a new normal.
Yeah, I'm used to it by now.
Okay, so like confidence-wise, you don't feel, you know, you don't ever feel like, oh my gosh, like, am I going to survive this?
Yeah, I wonder if I'm gonna like hang on for long enough.
Yeah.
But the only like problem is if he's stupid in the warm up and he like crashes a jump, then I get upset because now I wonder if he's fine, if I'm fine, and I don't want him to do that. So yeah, it's happened once. Once, and then he got himself back together quite quickly.
Okay, and then going into the arena after something like that, like if he's like, you know, quite tense or like really hot and fiery, or if he crashes through a jump, then going to the arena, do you just like, or you know, like some sort of...
I'll try and walk him a little bit if I can, but if I can't and I'm running late, like he naturally settles in the main arena, which is quite strange. Most horses it's the opposite, but yeah, he also has such a big match temperament that he gets in there and he's ready. So it's also really helpful that there's not many horses in that arena.
Okay, no, that does help. And I suppose then like you then know that, so then going into the arena, okay, like
I can forget about the warm up and just move on.
Yeah, no, that's good. I suppose that just comes with getting used to and knowing your horse well.
Yeah.
Okay, this one I feel like I'm gonna learn a lot from, because it's something I really struggle with. How do you balance your relationship, your degree, and writing? Like, I am someone who tries to do way too much in the day. Like, I'm like, okay, I need to do this, and then I need to do this, and then I need to do this. So, you know, like, how do you just balance everything?
So, yeah, there's been quite a few times along the way where it's always gotten like one thing gets the priority and the others fall behind. But I would say the biggest thing is organization. I'm a very organized, planning-driven person. I love to plan and I love to do it all.
Yeah.
So what I actually find helps a lot is to, firstly, with varsity, know all your dates. So I have all my assessment dates that I need, and I have it in a document, and they listed subject and date depending on what it is. And I have my writing, my university schedule. That I put all the lectures in, so I can see what's going on. And then thankfully my university schedule is quite nice, so I can write in the morning and have it be done, and I can write when I want to, rather than having to shove it in here and there, which is better. So I do write early most days now because of my schedule, but it's also really based on prioritization. Like, you do what you want to do or what's most important to you. And for me, it's always been horses as a priority. So if I have to miss a lecture because I'm going to a show, like, so be it. So
So that's actually also what I wanted to ask is, like, shows and things. How does that work into? Because sometimes you have shows that fall onto Thursday and Friday as well. Do you have a certain amount of lectures that you can then miss, and then,
so there is supposed to be like a minimum attendance. I don't really think Vegas sticks to that, thankfully. So it depends. If I'm writing a test or an exam, then I can't miss that time slot, but lectures I find are a lot easier to catch up. So I would rather go to the show and miss the lecture, but if there's an exam or a test, I'll rather miss the show.
Okay, so sometimes you have to prioritize the one, and then at the time.
I think what people don't really realize all the time is that your degree is your future. Unless you are wanting to pursue writing as your career, that's completely fine. But for me, this is my future from here on out, so I need to do as much as I can, as well as I can.
This is how you're going to pay for your horses.
Literally.
So it's important.
So if I don't do well here and get a good job, then I'm not going to pay for my horses and continue.
And what about, like, your relationship, your social life, spending time with family?
I'm an extrovert. I am social, but I don't go out very often, like to clubs and stuff, because that's late night stuff. And I'm an early night sleeper.
I'm also glad 9 o'clock is like a bedtime.
Even 8 o'clock sometimes. That's so good. But I see my boyfriend over the weekends, and he'll come to me or I'll go to him, and it's also nice to also get away sometimes. Just to spend 1 or 2 nights somewhere else to just disassociate a bit. But I do try with my friends as much as possible. They know I'm not available like that all the time, especially when it comes to during the week because of early morning riding and stuff. But I spend most of my time with my varsity friends at university, and then I'm very lucky that the friends that I do have, I don't have to see them every day to still be close to them. Which is, that's probably the biggest saver.
Okay. And how does, so Kerry's boyfriend's name is Ryan. How does Ryan, has he adapted to the whole, like, horses take up, like, almost all your time kind of thing?
He's not happy about it.
I'm sure.
But he's in Pretoria, he studies, so we only ever see each other on the weekends, which makes it a lot easier to deal with, because I think it would be difficult to try fit him in during the week with his stuff and my stuff. Like, that's just not possible. So thankfully it's only over the weekend, and Yeah, he's not the biggest fan of horses and shows, but he's getting there slowly.
Yeah, I suppose it's okay. Like they don't have to, you know, they don't have to be passionate about what you love, and you know, but they just have to kind of understand and know that that's what you love, you know.
Yeah, I definitely prioritize different ways. So I prioritize my riding by riding in the morning, but then I'll prioritize varsity to ensure that I've ridden, but I also have time for varsity. And then I'll prioritize Ryan and my friends by moving my riding around. Like when I go see Ryan, I'll ride early and then go to him afterwards. And then on the day that I come back or I leave him, I'll ride in the afternoon.
Okay.
So I try and dedicate as much time as I can to each area. Yeah.
I also think that, you know, sometimes we get so caught up in doing one single thing, and sometimes they can, like, you know, you can do two things can share time. Like, sometimes my boyfriend, Albie, will, you know, he'll come with me while I ride, and then he'll sit and do whatever work he has to do, or he'll just like come for a walk with me or something. You know, and sometimes like he'll have to come to a show, but the night before we went out for like an early dinner or something, and then you know,
it's give and take for sure.
Then you share time, and then it's not just this has to have, you know, my riding has to fit in here, Albie has to fit in here, this, you know, that can sometimes mold together. Yeah,
for sure. Like Ryan comes on out rides with me sometimes, and it's funny because he used to do polo apparently. I don't know how well, but yeah, like he just comes for a little walk.
Yeah, no, and that's nice because, like, I mean, you get your horses get a nice walk, and you also get to do it with someone you love. So
Cute. So awesome.
Okay, are there things besides riding that you do with your boys that you really enjoy or think are important?
So, I know this is still like riding, but out rides. I love out rides because it's fun for me, and it's nice for the horses to get out and see different things that they aren't in the same place all the time. And on an out ride, you never know what's coming or what's out there at that time. But yeah, I do like to vary the work that they do. So they also, like I said previously, they do the aqua treadmill, which is completely different to what they usually do. Like it's so strange. And they also go see the Vita floor, and I just make sure that they feel good and that they enjoy what they're doing. So I don't always stick to a routine of like, oh, I have to ride my horse 45 minutes every day. So like if I go for a walk, sometimes I'll go for a long walk, or sometimes I'll go for half an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, and just like vary what they do so that they enjoy what they do.
Yeah, I think horses, like, they like routine, but it doesn't mean you have to stick to, you know, like
the same
every Thursday is, you know, this and we go the same route. Like, I think it is good, especially like going to competitions and things. You know, it's never gonna, you can't prepare for stuff that happens at competitions because unexpected things always happen. And like by, you know, what you do, like varying, you know, their schedule, but sometimes you go for a long walk, sometimes a short walk. I'm sure sometimes you go to different, you know, use different routes and things. You know,
sometimes there's dogs, sometimes there's trucks.
Like you inevitably like are preparing yourself for like when like unexpected things. Yeah, and especially with Champ, like how you told me that on our rides he's really, you know, he can be really, really tricky. Sometimes almost knocks cyclists out. And
but like with Champ especially, like if there's bad weather, I'll go ride in it. Like I choose to ride in that weather just because of how icky he gets in that weather. So I'm like, no, do it.
Yeah, no, I love it. Okay, so you're like kind of pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. Yeah,
so sometimes he gets worked up on those days, but I would rather have him be exposed to that than protect him the whole time, and then he's 10 times worse.
Yeah. No, I think that's actually, I really like that. Some good advice. Okay, what do you enjoy most about being with your horses and riding?
Just the bond. Like if I couldn't compete my horses, I would still love every day. Like I like how much I trust my horses, how much they trust me, and like just that little personal relationship that only you and your horse have.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Like I trust my horses 100%, and Champ, I think he trusts me quite a lot.
Yeah.
And what did I say here? Yeah, I also like to spend time doing stuff myself. You know, like I'll spend time grooming, tacking up, cleaning the stuff, and I have amazing grooms that are willing to help me all the time. But I also like to do it myself and spend just that extra little bit of intimate time with your horse. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you find that like helps with like bond and stuff?
Yeah, I think so, because you get to know your horse in different ways, like what they like and what they don't like. If you show up and all you do is ride, you only know how they are when you're on top of them. You don't know what they are and how they act when you're not there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And like, I mean, with dancing, I walk into the stable and I'm like, okay, it's gonna be one of those days.
Yeah,
like,
you can tell.
Because sometimes I feel like we plan, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna do pole work, and then horses, having their own mind and ideas, then like on that day they might be like so tense and spooky and stuff, but you only find that out when you're like riding and you've got that plan and that time set out for that. So like I find that I like walk into a stable and I'm like, okay, he's gonna be really tense today. It's gonna be one of those days. I'm probably you gotta adapt and then I'm gonna like, okay, let me just take him for a walk today, and tomorrow I'll do what I had planned for the day or something. So I find that's just really helpful. Like just when I tack them up, well, even if I wasn't the one to tackle my horses, but I mean, I tackle my horses like 9 out of the 10 times, just because, for that same reason of just, knowing them outside of the saddle and then planning my rides based on that, adapting based on that. And just because you get to know them and that affects riding, because you know them better, you know what they're going to do, and because you it's like spending time with, like if I only spend time with like Albie, when
he's
when
working.
we were at like school or something, not that we went to the same school, but just for an example, like when we went to school, I would only know like one side of him, compared to like getting to know him better outside of school too.
Like seeing them with their friends, or there's a lot of different aspects that people don't see about their horses. That I think are important.
Yeah. So no, I think that's great that you sometimes do that, and I mean, realistically, we don't always have time to do those things, but you don't have to, as we said just now with balance, like you don't have to do everything in one day. Sometimes you do this one day, sometimes that kind of thing.
Try to see what you can do and what's available.
Yeah. So like, I mean, something that I always struggle with is thinking, okay, I need to be fit, I need to be mentally strong, I need to, my horses need to be fit, they need to do pole work, they need to go on outrides, I need to spend time with them on the ground, like, and I think of all these things that I have to do, and I'm like, okay, I can't do that all in one day, like, there's just no way,
So something that helped for me, and I actually learned it because I was riding Champ, is when we started jumping bigger this year, I was like, oh my gosh, these things look massive. And then I literally said to myself, I only have to do one jump at a time. And it's the same with everything in life. You just have to get through that one thing first. Whether that be your first assignment, whether that be you go on a run in the morning. Like if that's the start, you can build on, but you have to start. You don't have to look at it as everything, like a staircase. You don't have to look at the whole staircase and you're like, oh my gosh, that's so many stairs. You look at the first one, then you look at the second one, then the third one, and you keep moving, doing that one task at a time.
And if you don't get to all of them, there's always going to be no day. So no, I like
got the rest of your life.
Exactly. Well, hopefully. And I think because sometimes it can be really overwhelming, so I really like that because it's just kind of focusing you on just this.
And if you can do that one thing, like with Champ, if I can do the one jump right, I can do the next jump right. Like all you have to do is focus on the one thing.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's beautiful. Okay, what are your dreams for the future in your personal life and riding career?
I I like that you include my actual life. Like there are more sides to me than just horses.
Exactly, and I mean, as riders, like our horses become such a huge part of our life. I mean, even when you talk to other riders, you talk about horses. You know, there's
All the time.
all the time, because there's so many like aspects of horses, and our horses have such huge personalities. Like we just talk about them, you know.
Yeah, but you forget that like someone has a family, they go see their friends, they also do other things outside, they have a job sometimes. So I want to finish my degree this year with distinction, hopefully, and then next year I'm not sure if I want to do my honours or start working and do a different degree part-time. And for my horses, I think champ I'd like to do like a 145 or a 150 hopefully by the end of the year. Like if I can get that in, like, that's my dream one day. And like it still even surprises me sometimes that I jump 140 and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. So if I could do that one day, I'd think of myself as like the best person ever.
I mean, that would be amazing. And I think sometimes, you know, we get so caught up in like, okay, what's next? And you know, that we forget that actually, geez, I'm jumping the 140s, but that's amazing, you know. So and then 140 is big. Like sure, I walk those horses and I'm like,
literally, that's me.
And I feel like we walk with Ray and we like, you know, look composed, but inside we're like,
it's like that thing I'm literally making direct eye contact.
Exactly. Okay, and going forward in the like for the rest of your life, I know it's always like, you know, people always ask me, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? And you're like, I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow. Like, you know. But yeah, what are your thoughts and like kind of dreams about like the rest of your life with your career and your riding? What do you hope that it'll one day like look like and be?
So I don't actually see myself riding for the rest of my life.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna do it for as long as I can, but I think if I have children, that might take away and I might have to choose one or the other. So I hope one day I'll get engaged, hopefully to Ryan, and then get married and have kids one day. And they are never touching horses because that is so expensive.
Then you're gonna like your bank account's gonna be like,
literally, I love horses so much. I'll have a horse, but my kids are not.
I can just picture you like, you know, your kid one day walking towards a horse and you picking up like, no.
Don't even look at it. Close your eyes.
Okay, so I mean, I like that you're realistic about it. You know that you know at some point you might need to stop. And would you stop permanently, or would it just be like a temporary thing?
I think it'll be permanent. To be honest, I love Champ and I don't think I'll ever find a horse quite like him. And I love Elvis and he's so spectacular, but I'm not driven on like jumping 150 and finding the most amazing horse in the world. Like I really appreciate my horses and what they've done. Or Champ really. So if I retire Champ, there's just going to be that little bit of spark that's taken away.
That's always hard when you find that like hard horse. You know, and you're like, okay, you know, riding's just not going to be the same without this horse.
So I feel like I don't think I'm going to get another horse after Elvis. And when Elvis is done, that's both of us. When he retires, I retire. And Champ, when he retires, I'm just going to stare at him in the paddock.
No, I think that's really nice, and it's nice that you're riding because you just purely love your horses, you know. And
I'm obsessed with Champ. Elvis is so cute too, but like Champ.
You haven't formed that bond yet with Elvis that you have with Champ. You know?
It's funny though because he's coming out of his shell.
Really?
Yeah, when he arrived, he was so like timid and very like wouldn't put a foot wrong because he's scared of whatever could happen. And now he's like cuddly and affectionate and he wants affection and he wants carrots a lot. And even on the way to lessons this morning, he's standing in the truck and he's picking fights. And he never did that before. He used to stand there like, if they don't look at me, if I don't look at them, they can't see me. I won't move, I won't draw any attention. And now he's like, look at me. I'm big now.
Come at me.
So his personality is really coming out, which is nice.
I think you also bring your horse's personalities out, because I think some riders can,
Suppress.
yeah, and others like just let their horses. I mean, like Bold, he like after jumps just plays around, and I love that. Encourage that. I like it that he enjoys what he likes to do. And other riders, sometimes they don't want their horses to play around, which is their choice completely. But I think it's nice to let some personality come out. Let them, enjoy it, and as much as we do. And for for your career and what you're studying now, which is digital marketing, what do you have like a dream with that, or tell me about it.
I'm gonna build an empire. So there's a thing called finding gaps in the market, which is basically stuff that no one else is doing in your country. Doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Sometimes it doesn't, but it means that whatever business you have is going to be successful because no one else is doing it.
So you want to create a monopoly? Is that what you're telling me?
So, and it's not even related to my degree. So I do want to have my own little digital marketing firm. That would be great. But that's going to be my passive income. Like, I'm not going to run that every day. I'm also going to have a diamond cutting factory.
A diamond cutting factory?
So this is where the gap comes in. What a lot of people do is we mine diamonds in South Africa, in the Cullinan. That's like the biggest mine and stuff that you get. So most diamonds come from South Africa, but we only get the ore. So what we do is we sell the ore to overseas who want it. They cut it. Now it's more valuable, and then we buy it back for a higher price, which makes no sense. So there are a couple people that will cut diamonds themselves or whatever, but I want mass production. So I'm gonna do that, but because that's gonna generate so much carbon emissions and carbon tax, I also want a forest. So then I can sell my carbon points to myself. And maybe make paper, I don't know.
Wow, I'm so glad I asked that. I would never have guessed that. So what you're telling me is that you're gonna fund my riding from this.
Sugar mommy.
I'm so glad that I found a sugar mommy. I've been looking for one, and I found someone who can now fund this. I was wondering how I was gonna fund all of this. There we go. Your forest and your diamond cutting factory are gonna be my you can sponsor me, thanks.
Sure.
I'm not gonna even ask you.
Diamonds and trees.
That's actually such a cool name. You should use that. That's so cool. Did you learn about the diamond industry in your degree?
No.
How did you know about it?
I don't know. I feel like someone said something along the way. We know quite a few jewelers here and there, and then they said that that's what we do, and I was like, that's so dumb. Let's change it. So hopefully one day that'll get going.
Okay, I think that's so cool. I really I like that.
It's such an odd, I don't know how many people would say, I'm gonna have a diamond cutting factory. But I think that's gonna earn big bucks. No one's allowed to do it until I do it though. I'm patenting my idea.
Now you put it out there, someone's gonna be like, that's a great idea. Okay, but moving on. So, what is the biggest life lesson your horses have taught you?
I actually have quite a few. I didn't have just one. I'll say the most paramount one is confidence is everything. And it's not only confidence that you'll do, or confidence in your jumping, confidence jumping big jumps. It's your confidence in yourself. And even if you have to fake it until you make it, that's what I do all the time, to be honest. But if you don't believe in yourself, why should anyone else?
Why should your horses?
Exactly, that was my if you don't feel confident, you can self-sabotage just because you are constantly worried that you are going to mess up or this is going to happen and you're going to cause problems that you don't even have. So that was my first one.
But okay, before you go on to the next, how did you develop your confidence?
Champ.
Okay, so what are people gonna do if they have
get a champ? That's all I have to say.
It's a nice get a champ. Okay, cool, got it.
I just think if you have a horse that's willing to work for you and try hard for you, like it eradicates almost all of your problems. Like, yeah, yes, Champ has different problems in different areas, but when I get into the arena, I know for sure that he's going to try his best for me. Yeah.
No, and I think, I mean, it's so true, because when you have a horse that, like, you know, stops even when you haven't done something wrong, it can really like hammer your confidence, because you come into the jump like, are they gonna go, like, are we gonna crash in the jump, you know, what's gonna happen? But when you know your horse is just gonna go, like, I mean,
that whole like doubt in your mind is just taken away completely.
Yeah, it is. It is. I had, although, like, I mean, I had a lot of ponies who, like, you know, used to stop and I'd fall off, and that used to happen, and it really did hammer my confidence. And I think, I mean, these days now, like, I appreciate my horses, you know,
so much more
when they don't do that. And like, I mean, even Bold, he used to be so like scared of water trays. I used to have to show him them like 100 times. And now, like, I mean, this morning at a lesson, he just jumped it, like, you know, and they had these like different, you know, he had different jumps and stuff that he doesn't usually have, and I was like, oh, what's he gonna be like? And he was like so much better. So even if like sometimes your horses, you know, has a problem, it can always,
it's all confidence that either escalates the problem or takes it away.
Yeah,
exactly. That's how I feel.
Okay, yeah. So what other life lessons?
Yeah, there's the other one I have is hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Well, I feel like we need to say that again.
Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So some people are so naturally talented in this sport, and that's amazing, like, happy for you. But some people have to work hard to achieve the results that they do. Some people have feel, some people have to learn it, and that kind of stuff. So if you are disciplined enough to put in the hours every day, to ride your horses, to do the right things all the time and push past even when it's hard, you will always do so much better than someone who has all the talent in the world but doesn't work for it.
That's so true. And I feel like, I mean, I remember Nicola Sunriley saying that she was never a talented rider. But I mean, if you look at her now, you're like, what? Like, you're like the most talented rider.
You think she could get on anything and make it look amazing.
Exactly. But sometimes I think we confuse, like, you know, we think these top riders that we see, you know, are like just so talented, and they must have had that like all along. But meantime, they've actually had to, like, behind the scenes, work their asses off to be there, you know, and to have those rides. So I mean, I know Ray, you know, he's had to work so hard to get the rides that he now has, and sometimes it takes years, and you not only have to work hard, but you've just got to persevere through all that, you know, that difficulty, and the times when you're just like, this is just not working out for me, but I'm just gonna keep going, you know? So,
and then the last thing I have of the lesson is progress beats perfection. What did I say here? Practice makes progress, not perfection.
Okay.
So, I used to get so caught up in wanting to do something perfectly that I'd actually spend more time fighting over perfection than doing that little bit better and getting it eventually. I feel like if you work and improve 1% every day for like 7 days, you've improved 7%. But if you fight that one day for perfection, you haven't improved at all.
I really like that. That's some really great advice.
And I think like social media now is so perfection driven that you have to realize there's steps to get there. It's not just one person woke up one day and they could jump 150 or they could do the highest movements in dressage. It's all, they practiced that little thing and they started somewhere, even though it was terrible at some point, and now it looks good because they practiced.
And I think, I mean, also when you go and you watch shows or you watch, you know, people's rounds who are like really good riders, you know, it looks so good and so like perfect, but they've had to, you know, they've had to work so hard to get it like that. But we see that and we're like, okay, like, and I think that's why, I mean, especially riders get, you know, kind of a bit obsessed with the idea of perfection, because you have to get a good stride in order to clear the jump. It's not that you can just, be off all the time, especially as you go up the height. So we get this idea that, we have to be perfect to each jump if we want to do well. But meantime, like, you're only gonna get those good strides if you stuff up,
Yeah.
You're only gonna manage to have those really good rounds if you like stuff up over and over again and you learn how to have those good rounds. So,
but also, it's not even like perfect strides don't just come,
yeah.
It's like sometimes you do just canter and then you're like, wow, 1, 2, 3, woo. And it's great, but like a lot of difficulty in riding is making a good stride, because you can land from a jump and land completely on the inside, and now you have to go to the next jump, and what are you going to do? If you keep going the way you're going, you're going to get there too quick, and you might have to put in an extra one, you might have to take one out, you might have a pole, you might have a stop. But the whole point is learning to fix your stride. So you're not going to have the most perfect stride every time, but if you can adjust to get a better stride than what you originally saw, that's what makes you better.
Yeah, and also the other things that come, like, the things that help with having a good run, like getting that power, getting good rhythm, balance, and all those things you work on in like flat work and stuff. And then, you get better strides because now you have more like tools.
Controls,
Exactly.
Elvis needs a lot more tools.
They're gonna come. He's gonna jump the 130s. I think it's gonna be great. But thank you so much for letting me interview you and just hear a lot more about your stories and your advice. It's been really great, and I've learned a lot. So I think it's gonna help a lot of people.
Thank you. This was very fun.
Okay, bye guys. See you next time. Thanks so much.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that actually.
It's 11:11.
Sorry, I kind of threw you off guard in the beginning when I asked like a completely different question. I was
actually thinking, like, if I prepare, then I'm gonna read the whole time.